Hello, world. This is America's Supermom, and this is a special edition that I call the Corona Chronicles. During this time, we are suffering from a pandemic that is affecting everyone across the world. We are joined with the rules and regulations of being shelter in place, which means we are limited with the ability to go about our daily business, confined to our homes based on a coronavirus that has been sweeping the entire world. For some people, the effects could be mild. For others, it can be fatal. So we are coming together as a community, as a family during this time of difficulty to share what it is like in our part of the world, how we are affected, and the things that we have in common, what kind of problems that are taking place in our industries and in our relationships and finances, and coming together so that we can plan for a better tomorrow. As this epidemic or pandemic crosses the world, we are waiting for relief. We're waiting for the virus to die off and for us to go back to some state of normalcy, whatever that may be, after things kind of settle down. So, what is that going to look like once the dust settles? How are things going to be different? So, as we go through this process, we're coming together as a world to create ideas, strategies, connect in ways that we have never connected before. So, that is the purpose of the special podcast that I call the Corona Chronicles, so that we can get some insight and have empathy and compassion on one another, create new innovative ideas that can not only improve our life, but our fellow brothers and sisters across the world. Thank you so much for joining us. So, we just want to thank you guys for listening today. I'm really excited about my next guest. I love these connections where I meet people and haven't met them in person, but feel like I've known them forever. So that is what's true about my next guest, Melanie Richards. We met through, I'm not sure if it was LinkedIn or Facebook, a Facebook group. It's been some time. Like I said, we have interacted so much since then virtually that, it seems like it has been forever that I've known her. She's a great connector and just, I can't say enough about her. So I'm really excited for her to take some time out to connect with me today. So I am going to allow Melanie Richards to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself.
Well, thanks so much, Lachelle, for inviting me. I'm delighted to join America's Supermom and a wonderful woman who is becoming an even dearer friend. So I really want to thank you for that. We met in a really large Facebook group of almost a quarter of a million entrepreneurs. And, just from the beginning, the way you ask questions and just bring yourself, I want to thank you for that. My name's Melanie.
Awesome.
Really, really, thank you so much for all you do to brighten our world. My name's Melanie Richards. I'm the founder of Increase Your Visibility, which is the name of a seminar I did in 2008. I'm a marketing coach who started out as the gift lady. And people would now say I'm the engagement and the event marketing lady. So I help people with trade show consulting, navigating the gaps between live and virtual events right now as we try to get more comfortable online. And I still help people with gifts and incentives. And I like hosting events to help people build energizing connections so they attract business. That's me in a nutshell.
I love that. And, so this is so good about the marketing and, what that's looking like in the current landscape during this pandemic. So, what are some ways that we can kind of look at marketing ourselves a little bit different, in the space that we're in?
I think somebody has shared a really great article recently, but I think
Mhm.
that the key to marketing is to
Mhm.
remember it's about showing up to show people ways that you can
Mm.
help them solve problems. People get
Mhm.
stuck in the process of, I need to tell my story so people understand what I do. In
Mhm.
marketing, really, we need to show up in a way to show people how we can help them, that we care about
Mhm.
helping them, and what we'd like to help them with. And a
Mm.
big part of that really is being a good listener. You know, we're in an environment now where people need help remembering how to connect human to human.
Mhm.
Whether it's, whether you're a faith-based organization, whether you're a not-for-profit, whether you were in direct sales, whether you're a caregiver, whether you're
Mhm.
an employee, no matter what the perspective is, marketing is really about helping people, period. People think of,
Mhm.
they get caught up in um, kind of what I call the calls to action.
Mhm.
I need to press a button or a trigger, so you
Right.
take this next step, and really it's kind of, that's kind of controlling. It's not really, a
Mm.
way to kind of show up and show value, but really we've got to keep it simple. Show people we care about helping them, and
Mhm.
separate it from your
Mhm.
sales, from your networking. In the current environment, there are no more cool kids. There are coaches giving away,
Mhm.
5 and 10 figure programs for test drives just to help others move. There are people
Mhm.
who, are used to flying first class, actually showing up to help you tie your shoes, so to speak.
Mhm.
And just that,
Mhm.
really, if we think of marketing as how can we help others, as opposed to how
Mhm.
can I try and get you to do something that you may not be interested in
Mhm.
doing, you may not want to do. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I love that. That's good. Now, so for, we are dealing with a very saturated, and I think it's all in how your perspective is, really. But, we'll just say, everybody's online now, because you got the schools online, you have your businesses online, everybody's locked down at home. So, in lieu of that, what are some tips that you would give somebody to stand out, to do things a little different, to make that open dialogue with the people that you want to serve?
So a couple of things. There's a wonderful Jackie Muller, who I'm really looking forward to the two of
Mhm.
you joining us.
Mhm.
She's a social worker, but she's also a knitter,
Mhm.
and she's showing up in a
Mm.
knitting club. It's not it's not
Mm.
the, she's not placing an ad for for her new
Mhm.
telehelp services. She's helping people
Mm.
offload stress. There's something you do that
Mm.
differentiates yourself from anybody else in the world, or there's something you've been dreaming of that you haven't been stepping into. For
Mhm.
myself, I'm looking forward to on Friday. I love to write. I've never spent some time doing it. I'm joining a group to
Mhm.
write on Friday. Last week in a
Okay.
conversation, somebody connected me with a thought leader I know who I never would have even approached to pick up the phone to speak with.
Mm.
And she helps people
Mhm.
write books. I've always wanted to write a book. There's some dream that's kind of
Awesome.
locked in us, or some talent that we
Mhm.
don't normally share, whether it's Jackie knitting, or somebody else I know who, is in travel, which, how that industry has been so affected. She's a vegan, and people want to see her share recipes. They want to see her
Mhm.
cook, and she loves to hike. They're looking for her to inspire them on a workout. We were on a
Mm.
virtual call,
Mhm.
and somebody we were talking to had just finished her jog, and she took us on a walk for those of us who were staying at home isolated to see the outdoors. So I think
Mhm.
that opportunity exists to show a hidden
Mhm.
talent, to help someone
Mm.
explore and kind of
Mhm.
lift each other's loads. And I think that's
Mhm.
the real strength in this. And take a class in something you've always wanted to learn. You
Mm.
know, curl up and read a
Mhm.
book.
Mhm.
You know, there's a hardware
Mhm.
store locally. They're now delivering supplies to homes so you can do a
Mm.
fixer up.
Mhm.
There's an auto mechanic,
Mm.
talented gentleman I know. He will now pick up your car at your home and bring it back to you.
Mm.
He's the type
Wow.
to, if you were low on gas, to fill up your gas tank while he took your car. He's the type
Wow.
to wash your car
Mhm.
and bring it back to you.
Mhm. Mhm. I love that. Yeah, so that this is some great insight, and I want to think that part of that element is being vulnerable. Because for me, it's like when you're following your passion and things that are really a dream or something you're inspired. You're able to kind of just jump in and not be worried if you're saying the right thing or doing the right thing. You just are able to be authentic. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. And I think just a reminder, and I'm laughing as the teapot is about to go off. You know, it's a reminder, something you don't normally have a chance, you know, to do, to take advantage of. And we're
Mhm.
talking about it in terms of marketing. I haven't mentioned anything with an investment. There's lots of free courses right now. You know, there's dance instructors
Mhm.
teaching you how to dance. You know, a chef
Mhm.
gave me a recipe 2 weeks ago, you know, to delight a
Mm.
family member. And I think
Mhm.
I think it's a reminder that it's the little things, it's the basics.
Mhm. 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 I love that. I mean, that is really true. And right now we have to. The element of this is the fact that bringing things down to a, a easy way that you can integrate it into your daily routine. Because we don't know what this daily routine is really looking like for everything outside of our homes. The only thing we really can manage, is what we do just with ourselves in our own space, because you could get tied into your internet and then boom, the internet's not working. So are you just going to give up because you don't have internet? I think it's exploring the opportunity to let us recognize that life is beyond a lot of these parameters that we had previously set for ourselves.
I definitely think as you're saying, that reminder to explore. You know,
Mhm.
and in certain cases, maybe to I discovered underneath all this the tenacity. We forget we
Mhm.
forget that it
Mhm.
exists. We forget
Mhm.
to reach higher, to reach farther.
Mhm.
You know, a
Mhm.
time to
Mhm.
dream bigger. You know, I remember when we were kids and you'd
Mhm.
watch Disney and they'd say, "When you wish upon a star." And I remember that, the wonderful
Mhm.
world of Disney as a child. You know, it was a big
Right.
thing. It's a
Mhm.
reminder to appreciate a sunset. You know, yesterday I
Mhm.
watched neighbors walk. You know, physical
Mhm.
distancing. Two neighbors walking. You know,
Mhm.
down the street. You know,
Mhm.
and watching
Mhm.
people just. I think the connection part, whether it's neighbors who normally just get in their car and drive. We went out yesterday
Mhm.
to do some shopping, and I waved at people I know we would normally stop and talk. We're waving at each other. You know,
Mhm. 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 Yeah. So true. Those are some great things to think about. Now, switching gears a little bit, for somebody who is used to that live element, being in person, going over and having that face to face interaction when it comes to conducting business, what are some tips that you can give them to kind of navigate through the whole virtual landscape and, how to embrace that in a
If you're
positive way?
working remotely and still connected with an
Mhm.
organization that's doing business within standard hours, the reminder
Uh-huh.
to take breaks. My brother just ordered, he had back surgery last year, and he just ordered a stand up desk. It's the
Mhm.
same as his workstation desk. I watched a photo of a
Okay.
friend
Okay.
who was an organizer who now is providing support services for businesses. And she actually reset up a spare room, moving things around to kind of increase her comfort level. And the interesting thing, she
Mm.
works for an organization where she's required to print a lot of forms. She's scanning stuff that people are sending. And
Mhm.
she brought a printer from work, which is an interesting thing. You may not always be in a
Mm.
situation, but if you're working for an employer, those keys to the trade, somebody else mentioned,
Right.
they're working from home and that person didn't have internet access. So they had to set that person up in a
Mm.
unique way. So I think those are some of the things if you're an
I see.
employee. If you're the employer, I really think it
Mhm.
goes back to figuring out what the culture is that you tried to build. You might have been in an office where there were cliques,
Mm.
where it wasn't necessarily collaborative. Maybe you had teams working on different projects,
Mhm.
but trying to set up a space where people can collaborate, yet take breaks and kind of be
Mhm.
human. As we celebrated a family birthday
Mhm.
this weekend, and we had first time remote
Mhm.
users and experienced remote users and tech wizards, and the combination. Somebody
Mhm.
mentioned how it was a really loud party. That's life.
Right.
People are at home. I see this as an opportunity to meet each other's families, discover who has a pet. you we were on a call the
Mhm.
other day. Somebody showing us Scooby Doo. you know, the the real reminder to
Oh,
build
yeah.
laughter into the daily practice. And I
Mhm.
realized in this process for myself that occasionally I come off really positive to other people, but internally, some stuff was happening. I was starting to lose my sense of humor. So
Yeah.
now we're building laughter into
Mhm.
every single day. What I love is a 12-year client sent an email today, and the first line is, "How are you?"
Mhm.
People are reaching out who we haven't spoken to in 10 years. It's really a chance for you as a business to reach out to your clients,
Right.
see how they are, remind them you care.
Mhm.
I got a call 3 weeks ago
Mhm.
from a bank that
Mhm.
never calls. All they do is send bills and statements. And a relationship manager actually called and
Wow.
left a physical message 2 weeks ago to remind us that they were
Wow.
here and they care.
Mhm.
But I think the
Mhm.
permission, we
Mhm.
have to give ourselves the
I love
permission
that.
to be flexible, the permission to learn,
Mhm.
the patience with the fact that we all have different learning
Mhm.
styles and we rarely use all of them at the same time. Someone said, and I really
Right.
appreciated this a couple of weeks ago. He said it's kind of like we all are starting to use all five senses at the same time. People with special abilities, with unique abilities, with
Mm.
maybe limited
Mhm.
sight or limited mobility issues. They've learned ways to compensate. It's time for the rest of us to join the party and
Right.
see and listen,
Mm.
become a little more intuitive. Realize that underneath this, there's a
Mhm.
texture. there's a vibe, and show a little more sensitivity in that process of doing business. I think the working on the
I
five
love that.
senses uh, would really, and using them more.
Mhm. Right. Mhm. So true. I mean, that is profound, you know. I really think and I love the element of having the space to really reflect daily. You know, there's so many things that life has just been going like you're, swept away on this train, so to speak. But now it's like, you really can sit down and really factor in a lot of intentional time in setting your schedule and communicating with people and how you um, it just it's an element of being creative. How am I going to accomplish this goal with these resources and tools instead
And
of
I'm
what I'm used
noticing
to?
too recently in the process of trying to do business, and maybe the awareness that this has probably been happening for longer than we realize. We know people with extremely
Mhm.
vast skill sets, and the increased awareness
Mm.
of who to call when you have a specific problem.
Mhm.
Technical experts,
Mhm.
marketing people. I think the thing that's really important is underneath all of this, and you and I have had and will continue to have major
Mhm.
discussions about this. We need to help each other take better practice self care. Whether it was, I was at a networking event, and the
Mhm.
chiropractor
Mhm.
is telling us he's starting to stand during hour and a half meetings. It's a way, and
Mm.
it's a way of helping us avoid back pain from sitting at extended times. I loved it. One of the pictures that I saw
Mm.
in someone's refrigerator, and the interesting thing is you really could see they had access to the alcoholic beverages on the top shelf, but the bottom two shelves of the refrigerator had a
Mhm.
printed sign basically saying, "You are bored, walk away." I was hysterical. I thought it was a great idea as a reminder. When you're not able to
That
get
is
out for a
so
shopping
true.
trip, or you're
You're right.
waiting for the perfect delivery. I mean, I laughed yesterday because trying to get meat locally. Unfortunately, I found two resources later from people,
Mhm.
but we drove an hour away to find meat. I ended up in the equivalent of a butcher that reminded me of being a kid, yeah, with with sawdust on the floor,
Mhm.
at the
Mhm.
market, as a grandchild, uh,
Mhm.
and being able to share that story with a family
Mhm.
member. But I think the if you love sunsets, make time to watch them. If sunrise is your thing,
Mhm.
I woke up 2 hours before my
Mm.
alarm this morning, and my favorite shirt says "So Not a Morning Girl."
Mhm.
And my mom bought it for me because it's well known. And
Mhm.
if I have a chance to curl up and take a nap, and I was
Mhm.
saying to somebody else, I haven't taken a nap in probably the last 3 weeks. Last time I took a nap, the phone rang, and that ended that. But if sunrises are your thing, if water is your thing, somebody
Mhm.
was saying they're on a rail trail, they're out hiking and walking. They went to see, a waterfall.
Mhm.
There's something that you enjoy, whether it's your garden, whether it's
Mhm.
reading to your child, whether it's calling a friend you haven't talked
Mhm.
to in years, and I think also from the business perspective, you have somebody who is extremely uncomfortable right now. And it might have been a relationship that has
Mhm.
paused for communication issues or financial issues or some sort of equipment issues. This is truly a
Mhm.
time to like reach out and make peace. I'm getting more and more calls from people I have not spoken with in 10 years. They're reaching out with social media. They're
Mhm.
picking up the
Mhm.
phone and calling,
Mhm. Mhm.
curl up and write a thank you note.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I talk about send out cards all the time. I have
Mm-hmm.
a list of people I'm going to
Send
send
them.
cards to
Yeah.
later. And they're really I started a
Mm-hmm.
gratitude and a love journal online, and I'm not sharing it daily, but
Mm-hmm.
on days when there's a lot to really
Mm-hmm.
appreciate, I think the thing from a business perspective is
Mm-hmm.
it's an opportunity to reset, to rebrand, to
Mm-hmm.
reevaluate, to reach out to people.
Mm-hmm.
You could expand your markets, you can
Mm-hmm.
expand your mindset, you
Mm-hmm.
could expand your services, you could expand what you know, and in the
Mm-hmm.
process learn other people's stories and share yours.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So true. Now, so the last question I would ask is, you had a particular um, audience, so to speak, when you were doing your marketing, such as the gift lady. And, um, you know, I know with me being a coach, and, I've kind of even tried to walk away from that term and say I'm a lifestyle designer to help people to understand that, it is us working together, not just me giving you a formula and you thinking that's it. But I've noticed just in that industry that there is a need that as you listen to the climate of what's going on, that there is different type of coaching that is needing to be addressed. Be it, now I'm expanding to include like parenting, dealing with people managing work and being at home with your kids while they're doing e-learning. So for somebody who is trying to navigate the expansion of their market, from it's not just this ideal little small area that they used to have, but now it's expanded.
I
What
think in
advice
making
would
the
you give them
transition,
in
and
making
we
that
talked about it a
transition?
little bit before, is shifting from calls to actions
Mhm.
to what I like to call calls to connect and engage.
Mhm.
It's kind of I've been using a lot
Mm.
in my
Love that.
coaching programs and my practices and with clients, is really switching from transactional to transformational. And if we're
Mhm.
not sure how to do it,
Mm.
it's really a time when we shift into helping others solve their problems. You're able to really help them shift,
Mhm.
adjust, grow, learn, succeed, thrive, flourish.
Mhm.
And in many cases,
Mhm.
to really start healing. It's a fragile situation, and sometimes there's days you're not
Mhm.
going to have the energy to do this. You're going to need help. You're going to need help.
Mhm.
You're going to need help, whether
Mhm.
it's figuring out ways that you can help others stand out, ways really that you stand out. I specialize in
Mhm.
differentiation, which is somewhere in there we've got to realize, as a strategic alliance taught me, that we've got a zone of genius that nobody else has, whether you consider it a talent or not.
Mhm.
Yesterday,
Mhm.
somebody I worry about in terms of their communication styles,
Mhm.
they reached out to wish a family member happy birthday and did not have that person's phone number. You can do something to really go out of your way that
Mm.
changes the pattern, or
Mhm.
changes the, I don't know, the rubric, they would say. Pretend you're a chemist, and pretend you're a chemist, in a
Mhm.
lab, and you're mixing up new ingredients, or you're an explorer and you're going to figure out a new
Mhm.
direction where the compass leads you, if not the GPS, since many of us aren't driving. Right? Yeah.
Mhm. 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 Yeah. Mhm. I love that. Some great, great tips, great advice. I mean, I love this dialogue, because it is so important to always make sure that we broaden our perspective, and being flexible in a way to just be pliable, to be molded to, if you're going to serve, recognizing that how you serve can change daily, with outside of your control, but you making sure that you have the right tools and resources to do the job and stay in your zone of genius. So that's some great tips.
The
So
best way to
what
get a
is the
hold of
best
me
way for
is
everybody to get a
either
hold of you?
on LinkedIn or on Facebook. I have an Increase Your Visibility page. If you're
Mhm.
an entrepreneur looking for a really
Mhm.
positive community, I'm excited to have illuminations groups for talented entrepreneurs on Facebook. We have members from over 23 countries. I'm
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
excited to have a really collaborative, safe space to learn to earn and share tips. And and there are links on my Be Visible
I love that.
blog on my website or Be Visible with Mel just to reach out for virtual coffee or tea. I would welcome
Mhm.
the opportunity to connect and have a conversation.
Awesome. Well, we just want to thank you again for your time and these nuggets of
I
wisdom.
think
And are
I'd
there
love
any
to
final
share
words you want to
be
share?
well, be safe, be flexible, and be open and just be thoughtful and mindful.
Mhm.
It's find your vision or your mission or build a new one and do it in a really healthy way that serves you and brightens our world and will make it a better place where my hashtag is peace matters for all to all. Be well and be safe.
Mm, love that. Very good. Well, I have enjoyed this, and I look forward to many collaborations. We have quite a few down the pike, even just this over this next week. So, really
Thank
excited
you so
to
much,
be a part
Lachelle.
of your
Have an
tribe,
amazing
and
and
want to thank you
profitable
again
day.
for
Be
coming on.
safe and well. Bye bye.
Oh. I absolutely love this interview. Such great insight about recognizing how can we help people. That is really what marketing is all about, is recognizing that we need to add value. Value, value, value. Lead with value. I mean, I can't say that enough. Really enjoyed this conversation with Melanie and encourage you to reach out to her. I am telling you from personal experience that she is a connector. She was in a very well known referral group, and she knows a lot of people, and she will put you in contact with them. So that's a little plug for that. But I want to thank you guys for listening. If you are interested in being a guest, please email me at info@LachelleAtkins.com. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, and I have a YouTube channel. So I want to thank you again for listening. These nuggets of wisdom, don't just leave them in your head and not do anything. One, take action. Second thing is share it with others. Write a review. Do what it takes. These things are free. They don't cost you anything. But this can help make the landscape with business, just with our world, such a better place. Take action. Don't just be a spectator. Take this wisdom and knowledge, share it, teach it, train it, do whatever, so that it's just not laying dormant somewhere, not adding value. So, again, I want to thank you guys for listening and have a wonderful, prosperous day.